Morning, and we are live. Good morning. We are live. Finally getting started this morning. It's July the 16th. It's a beautiful Friday morning. I'm joined by Joe Chamblin. We got a damn good show for you this morning. Really excited to have him on. While we're waiting for folks to jump on, let's get the bills paid. Let's talk about sponsors, man. The first one I want to talk about is our co-branded American Warrior Society Trauma Kit. My buddy, my partner in crime, former MARSOC operator, Justin Carroll, helped design it. He is now a paramedic somewhere in these States United. We got with him, and then we sent it over to Brian McLaughlin over at Mountain Man Medical, and they put us together a really amazing trauma kit, and the quality is outstanding. You're going to want one of these for your car, for your home, etc., because you're far more likely to deal with some sort of trauma situation than you are to use your firearm. So check that out. It's in the links below. Pick up one of your co-branded trauma kits today. Also, the Century Martial Arts, man, makers of the Bob XL. Want to take your striking game to the next level? Pick up a Century Martial Arts Bob XL. We got an amazing discount code for you in the links below. APP Hemp, my good friend Jesse Ross. We were in the Marines together. He's a retired gunnery sergeant. Him and his family are growing some amazing CBD products over there in the Appalachian Mountains of Asheville, North Carolina. Check out all Appalachian Standard has to offer. Got some amazing CBD salves, and as well as some really cool CBD that I use because my joints aren't what they used to be after 23 years in the Marine Corps and trying to do jiu-jitsu and keep up with these young guys. So I tell you, I have really found a lot of relief from their CBD product. Cool Fire Trainer. Ammunition prices are absolutely insane right now. So take your Cool Fire Trainer and take your dry fire training to the next level. We also have, last but not least, Precision Holsters. They make the competition line of holsters that myself and Mike Seeklander use, as well as the Ultra Appendix holster that we also use. So please check them out, precisionholsters.com. They also make the amazing tactical belt that we also wear. So check out everything Precision Holsters has to offer and get a discount code. They're made here in America. It's a veteran-owned company. Great people doing great things. Looks like we got a couple people on. Jason Johnson is on. Good morning, Semper Fire, brother. Alan Kelly is on. Good morning, Alan. Please like and share, guys. Got a kick-ass show for you. So now that we got the bills paid, good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good, man. Let me read Joe's bio real quick, and I know that we've got a hard out time with Joe, so I want to use every minute I can with him. It says, Joe Chamblin is a former U.S. Marine Scout Sniper and Scout Sniper Instructor. Mr. Chamblin has completed multiple combat deployments in both Iraq and Afghanistan and other locations throughout the global war on terror. He is a graduate of multiple Scout Sniper schools, SERE School, and other high-risk personnel and weapons courses. He's a former instructor at the Scout Sniper Instructor School in Quantico, Virginia, where he helped develop and teach all forms of Scout Sniper and small unit tactics, techniques, and procedures. Mr. Chamblin currently owns a couple of small businesses here in the U.S. and has worked as a consultant and instructor for various government and non-governmental agencies. Since medically retiring from the Marine Corps in 2013, Joseph has written a book, Into Infamy, A Sniper's War, about his experiences in the Marine Corps, focusing on his last deployment with 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marine Scout Sniper Platoon, and the men he served with. He currently resides in Kingston, Tennessee, right down the road from me, where he works security as a government contractor and runs a small residential construction and development company. Good morning, Joe, and welcome to the show, brother.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. Guys, please like and hit that share button. I know we're on a little bit early this morning, but I gotta work around Joe's schedule. He's a busy guy. Hey, Joe, what does your bio overlook, man?
That's a small synopsis, I guess, into what people want to hear, what they want to see. I'm just Joe, though. I get up every day and go to work. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to jump to it too fast, but you're a guy who's operated with a frago or a mission order and just get it done. And right now it's going to work at 9 o'clock and getting it done today, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Today I'm going to go hang sheetrock and start finishing it. It'll be a good time. Not really.
No, hanging sheetrock is never a good time. I've done it a few times. It sucks. So why did you join the Marine Corps, man? And you can be as brief as you want, but I mean, some people it's
it was A couple reasons, but the main reason was I had a couple uncles that were in the Marine Corps that really influenced me in that direction. But the main reason for joining the military in general was just to get the fuck out of where I was.
And where were you?
I was in Southern Ohio. There was limited job opportunities. I wasn't going to college. There was no money for that shit. So you had very few options, and the Marine Corps sounded like a good one.
Yeah, I'd do anything to get out of Southern Ohio too. Let's see here, man. As far as becoming a sniper now, you had broken time. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, sir. Yep, I had about 3.5 years of broken time.
Yeah, so did I. I got out for 3 years and was a police. And so you get out, you come back in. I think that's when you actually became a sniper, right? The second time
yes,
around?
Sir.
Yeah. Why do that?
Well, I had an epiphany in Afghanistan after the front of my truck got blown off and decided I'd rather hunt the bad guys than be the one getting blown up. And so the first time the selection or NDOC opened up, I took it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Getting blown up is not fun. And tell us about, you end up writing the book Into Infamy about your time with 2-3, I believe it was. Why did you tell us about the incident? And I don't want to dwell too deep on it because we've already had Joe on. He went into all the details of why he became infamous and Hillary Clinton wanted his head on a platter.
Now, I was with 3-2, and we, obviously they got all butthurt because we pissed on some people we killed or whatever. But the main reason I wrote the book was to make sure that my guy's story got out, because you had a small video that kind of overshadowed everything that they had done, and they've been the most successful sniper platoon since probably the Vietnam War, and nobody knows about that. They just know about that little video. So that's the main reason I wrote the book. Yeah,
so if you didn't catch it, Joe and his Marines hunted down and killed an IED cell. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong in saying that, but that was responsible for the deaths of probably an untold number of American servicemen and women. And they were tasked with hunting them down and killing them, and they did that. And then they urinated on their corpses.
We got a little over vigorous.
Well, you know what? When that happened, man, I've told you this before, about a year or so ago. I was a Marine Corps officer when that went down, and I'm like, man, I get it. I'm glad they're dead. The world's a better place. And I honestly don't even have a problem with urinating them on, but the idea that there's a video floating around.
Bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's welcome some of the folks that are joining us here. Gerald is on coin number 952. And if you want to know what a coin number is, I guess I should have said, this is Coffee with Rich, man. And we're part of the American Warrior Society, the American Warrior Show. And Gerald is coin number 952. And if you want to find out what a coin number is and if becoming a member of our society is the right thing for you, you're going to have to check out the links to find out. TC is on. Good morning. He says he's in Crossville, Tennessee. That's right. TC is here with me. Dr. Fuller is in my guest house. Him and his beautiful family are driving through. Stephen is on. Good morning. He says, morning, brother. James is on. Says, what's up, Joe?
Good morning.
So what traits make a good Marine?
Well, I guess that's debatable. Depends on what your idea of a Marine is. I think somebody that's, got drive, initiative, and all those normal things you look for, but at the same time, you got to have the flexibility and adaptability to adapt to the situations that may arise. Somebody that's able to think out of the box.
Yeah. One of the things that made me want to reach out to you, man, is when I saw, how unapologetic you were about the situation, like, hey, man, I did it. I don't, you didn't sidestep it in an era where everybody apologizes for everything. You were like, no, I'm not apologizing. Yeah, I'm glad they're dead, and I'd piss on them again. I mean, those are my words, but that was kind of the
gist.
Those
were pretty much my words too. So.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is good to go, because you followed it up with, well, it's just going to look bad on the Marine Corps, and your point was it depends on what your idea of a Marine is. If your idea of a Marine is someone who looks pretty on a parade ground, then maybe this ain't for you. But if your idea is someone that takes the fight to the enemy and hunts down and kills our adversaries and strikes fear into the hearts of people, then yeah, okay. That's so I love that approach, man, and I agree with it.
No, but the Marine Corps is kind of a dual-sided sword, or a double-edged sword, so to speak. You've got people that want this appearance, and then you have people that really understand why we're here, and our job is to win battles. Where to go kill the enemy and do what we have to do to make it a success. And there is no other option. We're not allowed to quit, so there's that.
Yeah, and I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but we had, I think it was General Conway put out a white letter, and he's like, it's with regard to making weight or passing or doing really well in the PFT, and he said it's all about appearance. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, it's time for me to retire, because you've missed the boat, pal. If you think that the Marine Corps is about appearance, this is not the Marine Corps I signed up for.
No, our job is to win battles.
That's exactly right. And that leads to my next question. What are some of the traits, Joe, that make a good sniper?
A good infantryman. I can take any good infantryman and make him a good sniper. And that's the basic 0311 or 03XX, whatever. If he's a good infantryman, he has solid sound tactics, he'll make a good sniper. As long as he has the patience and discipline to see it through.
So when you were instructor at Scout Sniper Instructor School course at Quantico, did you see guys come through there that, hey man, this kid ain't gonna make it, and then they did, just, or what?
Yeah, actually there was a couple. It may have took them 2 or 3 tries and they kept coming back, but there was a couple. Yeah. But normally you could pick them out pretty quick up front that this guy's going to do great, or he ain't going to make it.
I want to switch gears here, man. So what, if anything, has 2020 taught us about, the nature of violence and stuff like that, maybe domestic violence?
Well, I mean, there's going to be a time in everyone's life when violence is the answer. It just depends on how well you're willing to adapt to that. I read a book not too long ago, and I can't remember the name of the author, unfortunately, but it just says when violence is the answer, and it's very true and very applicable. And there's going to be times where violence is the answer, and it's the only answer. And I think our society has gotten to the point where they're not really comfortable with that, because they don't understand the true nature of violence and the fact that it's a tool, just like anything else. Violence is a tool. It'll help keep you alive. Some people use it for, not so good things, but, in the most part, violence is how there's a time and a place. And, you got to be willing and able to accept that level of violence. And I think our society probably has got to the point where they're not really comfortable with what true violence is and its necessity.
Well, and I think your incident showed that, right? I mean, and this is what has always bothered me about that. And that is, it's okay to hunt these men down and kill them. That's okay to rob them of their lives and everything they have, right? But it's not okay to urinate on them. Now that's a bridge too far. It's like, wait a minute, you can't have it both ways. What should have happened is you cut their heads off, put them on sticks on the side of the road, right?
We used to do that, yes.
Yeah. And really, there's nothing difference between what you guys did and Blackjack Pershing did in the Philippines, dipping the Marines' bullets in pig's blood and stuff like that.
Just different generation, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we're going to have to, as we move into the 21st century, we're going to have to get more comfortable with violence, because as you alluded to, and we've said it many times on the show, violence is rarely, if ever, the answer. Very rarely. But when it is the only thing that is the answer. Jeff is on. Good morning, my brother. See you very soon here in Tennessee. Brandon is on, says, good morning, gents. John is on. Yukon, Oklahoma, coin number 1919. Guile from the Philippines says, good morning, Rich Brown. Good morning, Joe. Good morning to everyone watching right now. Gerald says, quote, our enemies should be afraid of the Marines. A kinder, general machine gun hand would not cut it. Thank you for who you have and you're serving. Brian says, hey, homie, how is it, Joe? Thank you to the 23 folks joining us live. Please like and hit that share button. Somebody needs to see this. For a guy that's used to having a mission, what is your mission now, Joe?
I'm just trying to take care of my family, building the future, making sure they got the opportunities I didn't have growing up, so that way they can do bigger and better things than I ever imagined. That's pretty much my mission now. That and an early retirement.
Yeah. Hey,
that's
man,
why I'm working so much.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Joe, I will welcome you to retirement, my friend, because it's pretty doggone good. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. Hey, Matt, do you currently still do any fitness or combatives training? What's your regimen look like these days?
I try to get at least 3-4 days of PT a weekend. I don't really do a lot of combatives training now that I'm getting older, but it's always a good time to go out and have fun with the guys. When I was younger, I did a bunch of different things as far as martial arts, boxing, the Marine Corps program, all that crap. But now I just a PT and try to incorporate the bags and some good time in there. And that's about it, 3 or 4 times a week. I work pretty much 2 jobs, 70, 80 hours a week. So just try to squeeze it in when I can, make sure it happens.
Yeah.
Definitely it's worthwhile.
Oh, you do? Good deal. Yeah. So if you missed the beginning in Joe's bio, Joe is currently a governmental security contractor. And so, yeah, the nature of your job would mean that sometimes you may have to go hands-on, although the likelihood where you're at is pretty rare that you have to go hands-on, but it's not completely.
You never can tell. You never can tell if some retard's going to show up.
Yes. Hey, what does your EDC look like these days, man? Now that you're a civilian.
Typically, I'll carry a Glock 43. It's easy to conceal. It doesn't matter if I'm, going to the park to hang out with the kids or going to the beach or anything like that. It's easy to conceal, drop in the waistband holster. Along with, I usually carry a couple knives, one on the front, one on the back, that way I can get to it in case somebody's up close and I need to make distance to get to the pistol. So.
Do you run a weapon-mounted light or just a light in your pocket or what?
No, on the 43, I don't have a weapon-mounted light. If I'm carrying a Glock 19, then I can as with that one. But typically, I have one close by or in my pocket, that way I can use it if I need to.
Mm-hmm. We had this discussion last night. If you remember the American Warrior Society, we do a Zoom coaching session with Mike Seaclander and I on Thursday nights. And one of the questions came up last night from one of our members. It was something about, should I carry this gun or that? Should I run a 2-point sling or a single point? And, these questions. And I found like really it's mission dependent. What is the mission? If you're going to the beach with your kids, like you said, it's a different setup. If you're rolling through a riot in Knoxville, Tennessee, it might be a different setup. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. If you're going into an area where you have a potential for, external threats that you may not be able to predict, then you need to have something. A lot of times I'll still carry the Glock 43, but I got a go bag, something that I just got to get back to it to be able to make way to move on, because I'm not trying to get in a long-term fight as a civilian. I'm just trying to break contact and minimize the damage to my family or anybody I give a shit about and move the fuck on.
We had, I think it was Wednesday, I interviewed one of our members who owns a security company in South Africa. And I actually did the interview while he was manning a checkpoint to keep the hordes of looters and rioters from burning his neighborhood to the ground. And, he's sitting there and got an AR and a bulletproof vest on, and him and just a lot of other, and he panned around to show the guys that are helping guard this roadblock, and not all of them were armed. Some of them had golf clubs and machetes and stuff like that. But it's like, now, when you need to have that go bag and that firearm, it's too late. When the time arrives, you need to have it. Gary says, good morning.
At the time.
Say that again.
You got to make sure you got everything needed at the time, because you never know when the time might be.
That's right. Tony says, good morning from Brunswick. Started a little early on me. Yeah, Tony, sorry about that, brother. Go back to check out the replay. Gary says, good morning, Joe. Great to see you, buddy. Proud of you, man, and all you've accomplished. Glad to call you a friend. And Greg Cruz, another Marine Scout Sniper, is on. Good morning. Greg says, good morning from Rhode Island, coin number 1928, Semper Fi. Good to have you. Greg, I got to get you on, man. Got to make that happen. So, Joe, is there a place, I know that, with your background as a scout sniper, I'm looking at what you know and the skills that you possess in context with where you and I live here in East Tennessee. And I'm going to ask you, man, is there a place for long-range precision marksmanship for the average civilian defender?
I believe so. And it's not so much, depending on where you live or how your location is set up, you may need that to defend your property or place or whatever. But the one thing that long range precision does is it helps you build those basic fundamentals. If you reflect back on majority of like FBI statistics for gunfights, it's 7 yards and in, it's real quick. A lot of times it's a whole lot of shooting and not a whole lot of killing. However, if you have taken the time to learn those basic fundamentals, which you have to perfect at long range, at 7 yards, if I jerk the trigger, I might still hit you. It might not be center mass, but I might still hit you. At 1,200 yards, I'm going to miss you by 20, 30 feet if I jerk the trigger. So if you can, I think, and that's where it really comes into play, that long range precision is you have to master the basics. It's brilliance in the basics, just like being a good infantryman, being a good sniper, anything else. It's brilliance in the basics. The people that can continually perform the basics at perfection will move on. And those that can't, well, you're as the further that distance gets, the wider the gap gets.
Yeah, as far as the legal, now where you work, obviously there's a great need for long range precision marksmanship, potentially, because I don't know what your ROE is there, but I imagine it's pretty stout. But as far as here, being a civilian, like on my farm, Joe, I know you haven't been here, but I've got a barn that's maybe 200 yards away. If I saw somebody out there messing with my horses or one of my kids, I could brace my AR and take a shot, and I think I could legally defend that. Aside from situations like that, man, where could you use that?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, on your property is one thing, and it really depends on the laws and legality of in each state or jurisdiction what you're looking at. You think of the people that have had to experience a lot of these riots and looting, just being able to engage targets out to 100, 200 meters as they're moving in, trying to take over their livelihood. That would make a big difference. And then you could actually, with those crowds and mobs, if you're a good marksman, then be able to prosecute those targets without the collateral damage. It's the same reason they use the snipers in the military. We can prosecute targets without, especially in a coin environment, without adding to that, the collateral damage that comes along with, somebody just spraying and praying with a 240.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the recent video, speaking of the South African riots and the applicability of long-range precision marksmanship, but there's 10 or 12 men that are stopping a horde of people coming down this 4-lane interstate. Did you see that?
No, sir.
Yeah, man, I'll send the link. But I think what you see there is guys with shotguns that are just maybe they're shooting rubber rounds. It's hard to say, obviously, but then you have a couple of guys with ARs, and you can see them kind of hunting the crowd like this. And I would imagine that, to your point, if you see one of the guys that's not throwing a rock, he's picking up a rifle, you can engage him and take him out and let the rock throwers throw their rocks, and the guys with the beanbag rounds deal with those people. Yeah. So I think that something like that could make sense, right?
No, it makes perfect sense. Let the non-lethal deal with the non-lethal, and then other people prosecute the lethal targets.
Yeah. PJ Tahoe, good morning, sir. Says, good morning. Escaped California temporarily to spend some quality time in Arizona. Good morning, brother. TC says, long-range skills also translates into confidence. That confidence is invaluable when dealing with potentially violent actors at any range. And, of course, TC was an embedded FBI agent in Afghanistan. Gerald says, do you have a caliber or platform that you prefer? What do you think, Joe?
My go-to will probably always be the 308 just because of years of experience. But I mean, I've also got a 6.5 Creedmoor alike for competitions. It's a little flatter, a little faster. There's guys that are shooting, 301 mags, 6xe, all these. There's variables of platforms out there, but my go-to is probably more likely going to be the 308 because I've just used it so much in so many different areas that I don't have to think about it.
Is that what you carried in combat?
For the majority of the time, that's what we had. That's most of your M40 platforms were all 308. So.
And as far as a 308, what do you carry in here as a civilian?
Well, I've still got that kind of a mutt gun 308 I had built. It's a great shooting rifle, probably about a quarter to half minute gun, depending on the ammo I run through it. And then I've got a 6.5 Creedmoor, also kind of a mutt gun that's been put together, and it shoots quarter to half, depending on the loads I got on it.
Wow. Are you getting ammo right now? You got a secret stash you want to tell us?
No, nobody's got a secret stash right now. Ammo prices is almost as bad as building material prices. It's gone insane.
Well, and that's the thing, man. You're getting hit on both ends as a guy that owns a construction company and a shooter, man. You're getting tapped on both ends.
Yeah, not good.
What? Let me ask you this, man. I know that this is a weird question. I asked it recently to a guy who is with a special mission unit. You know, what keeps you up at night, Joe? If anything.
There ain't a whole lot that really keeps me up at night anymore. The only thing that really, I mean, the day-to-day grind, I guess it was more than anything nowadays. It used to be, you know, the mission, where we were going, what we were doing, but now it's more the day-to-day grind, making sure I've got everything lined up for all the different jobs, for what's going on, and just in life in general. And that's about it.
Hey, back to the question about the rifle, though. What kind of glass do you run, Joe?
Well, I'm old, or I'm getting old, and so I still have the old original horse reticle I got on the 308. A couple Night Forces, a couple Vortexes, depending on the guns, the platform, whether it be the AR or the 7.62. On the 6.5 Creedmoor, I believe I've got one of the Bushnell Elites 5x25s with the trimmer 3 reticles in it, which is really good. Once you learn how to use those trimmer reticles, they're absolutely amazing with the wind dots and everything else. So.
Nice. And Tony wants to know, Tony's a former Marine, says, Joe, are you using a 700 platform?
On the 308, yes. It's a Remington 700. Is basically what's based off of the original.
Jason says, good morning from occupied Northern Virginia. That he wants us to know the chair is against the door. And Steven says, coffee is all that keeps him up.
Well, that is true.
Wait, Joe, I want to ask you, man, what do you think the purpose of the Second Amendment is, man? And or do we see a legitimate threat to the Second Amendment right now, or is it much ado about nothing?
I think we've always seen a threat to the Second Amendment, depending on how you look at the situation, what's going on. I mean, but there's always been a threat to it. You can't have which a lot of people on the far left, your democratic socialists, they want to be in control. You cannot be in control of people that have the means or ability to fight back. So there's definitely a threat to the Second Amendment. As far as the Second Amendment goes, I mean, it's pretty plain. It's written in kind of black and white, pretty plain English. It wasn't put there for us to, go hunt quail. It's for us to be able to stand up and defend ourselves in the face of tyranny. And the Founding Fathers, because of the situation they were in at the time, realized that we needed that ability. When you're being prosecuted for, taxes that without representation, and, you're basically subservient to a country or a regime that is going to use you, which is what, the British did in a lot of their occupied colonial territories. They were a means to an end. They were a siphon for money and control and power, and they didn't really give a shit about the people there. So, and that's where that Second Amendment comes from, the platform that was based off of, because that was their reality at the time. You got British troops marching through cities, trying to take your guns, trying to make you pay extra taxes. That's when and where it was written, and people need to realize that.
Yeah, I talked about this the other day, and people are probably getting sick of me talking about it, but I think the historical context that Joe's talking about is so damn important, and you really need to hear what he's saying. And people that think that history is just that, it's history, then you're just doomed to repeat it, because when we were in South Carolina the other day, Joe, I just took the family to the beach and went back to Paris Island, where I was stationed my last 6 years. The old Sheldon Church, man. Have you ever seen it? Just outside of Paris Island? It's the ruins of this beautiful church that was burned by the British in 17 whatever, and to bring the subjects to heel, right? And then it was rebuilt in 1826, and then Sherman, as him and the Union Army marching towards Savannah, burned it again. And my point of saying that is, this wasn't a foreign invading army. This was our own government. Mm-hmm. that sought to bring its subjects to bear and burned its place of worship. So if you think that The government is here to do nothing but good things, man. I got some history for you. And when I went to the police academy, man, on Sunday morning, I went to church at a church in Greenville, Tennessee that still has a Union cannonball stuck inside of it. So please don't think politicians are our friend. We need that Second Amendment, man. Am I crazy, or do you agree with that?
No, I absolutely agree with it. Yeah, I definitely agree that the government is not your friend.
And this is coming from two guys that have a lot of government service. So
yeah, no, they are not your friend. It's a means to an end, and they will use you and abuse you.
Yeah. Jeff says John has a long mustache. Might want, if that means something to you, check your cipher sheets for that one. Let's see. Alexander says, "What up, Joe? Listening in with Bush visiting for the weekend." TC Fuller says, "Wound my heart with a monotonous." Brandon says, "If politicians found out what the buckle gun was used for and allowed for civilian ownership, the Democrats would need to change their diapers." Jason says, "Huge threat to the Second Amendment currently. Subversive attack that is being used to marginalize firearms, increase the cost of ownership, ammo, reloading components, etc." Yeah, there's something going on there, man. I know a lot of people are hoarding or attempting to hoard, but anyway, thank you to the 33 folks that are joining us. And Joe, thanks for coming on, man. I got a couple more questions for you, brother. What do you see as the greatest threat to America?
It's an internal threat. It's it's no different than, say, Rome would be the best example. They killed themselves internally. They allowed weakness and internal strife to destroy themselves from the inside. And that's exactly what we see in our country right now.
Can you unpack that a little bit more?
Well, I mean, think about all the riots, all the bullshit. I remember growing up and nobody really gave a shit what color your skin was, and now all of a sudden it's a big deal. It's like we're going in reverse, as far as trying to make a better society and we were so divided that it's retrograding. We've almost gone back to the bullshit from the past because we didn't learn from it.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I thought we were becoming this post-racial America.
That's what I thought, especially in the Marine Corps. Like, nobody gives a shit what color you are. Nobody cares. You're equally worthless till you prove otherwise. That's
right. And I tell you, man, I served with some of the finest Marines I ever served with were African-American Marines. And then, so to see where we are now is just it's somebody's agenda, man. I have to believe that they're stoking this racial divide. And you know what's funny? When I talked to Manhar from South Africa the other day, he said that's exactly what they're doing there. They're the politicians, Zuma, the outgoing president who's started all this stuff, is making it a racial issue. And I think that's an easy button for the politician to push these days. Would you agree with that?
No, I absolutely agree with it. Instead of looking at the deeper issues of how we make everybody's life better and help, promote, self-worth, independence. The American dream isn't you getting a handout or you getting a paycheck or you being given this. The American dream is you get up off your ass every day and you work and you make something for yourself and you make something better of yourself.
Yeah, and if you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah. John Smith, you don't work, you don't eat. There you go.
That's right. I had when I was on recruiting duty, I had my commander who was an infantry officer. He's like, hey, Stash Sergeant Brown, why did Stash Sergeant Black not write any contracts the last 2 months? I said, hey, sir, you don't work, you don't eat. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to feed this guy. When he's ready to work, he'll start making some damn phone calls. Elke says, Biden said insurrectionists would face F-15s and nukes. Not true. The feds wouldn't carpet bomb and nuke a city to take out a few guys with rifles. Very true. Jason says, mainstream media is dividing the country. Says, Joe Chamblin is the greatest threat if they cross him. LOL. Elke, separating by color should only apply to laundry items. Amen to that, brother. Gerald says, exactly. So much for the melting pot of all colors we learned in the 60s. Elke, quote, equally worthless until you prove otherwise. Love it. Yeah, you can quote that. That's a Joe Chamblin original right there. Put that on a T-shirt. But that was the case in the Marine Corps, man. You know,
Nobody gave a shit. Didn't matter.
It's all about performance. If you can perform, you're on the team. If you can't, it ain't going to work out. So the greatest search of America is, if I'm reading you correctly, is a sense of othering, that divisiveness.
Yes, yeah, yes. The giant divide that people are trying to put in between, and instead of looking at each other as Americans, as friends, as neighbors, as community members, they're like, well, it's you versus them, and them versus you, and it just creates animosity that's unnecessary and definitely unhealthy.
Well, the thing with I want to ask you now is, I agree with you. I think that is ugly, but I don't know where does this go? If taken to the extreme, if allowed to fester, if nobody brings us together, where does that take this country, man?
It's hard to tell. It could lead to all-out civil war. It could just lead to political unrest. And at the end of the day, like a lot of things, you got to figure out like who's making money off of this, because it all comes back to the money. Which politicians is lining his fucking pocket?
Yeah, I agree with you. Jason says we're currently in a post-constitutional era in the United States. Man, I certainly hope not. William says, good morning, Rich. Jeff says the rhetoric around Cuba is protesting over COVID is sickening. Yeah, there's a lot of, when you look at the countries around the world that are leading to protests and stuff like that, or wanting more freedom, they use us as an example. And it seems like there's an element in the U.S. That doesn't want that. Like there's a meme going around, Joe, where it says, in the 90s, the left were saying, it was like Rage Against the Machine. If you don't, I'm not going to do what you tell me. Now the left is more like, hey, dudes, do what you're told. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah. There might be some truth to that.
Yeah. So as far as what about the economy, man? You think that this inflation that we're seeing with lumber and with ammunition and bread, milk, gas, everything, you think that's going to go any further or what?
It's hard to tell. I know now that miraculously COVID is not as dangerous as it used to be, logistics are starting to get in place. I think that was the biggest issue with the economy, was the logistics, that it was displaced when it came to not just like your manufacturing facilities, your import exports. So hopefully that'll get back on track. I don't know how long that'll take. I know in the building industry itself, they're saying in the next 2 to 3 months, we should see some improvement on the prices as far as materials go. I don't know how that's going to prove out long term. I don't think we'll ever get back to where we were, because people are willing to pay it. Just like your gas prices, keeps going up, and then it'll drop back down, but it never goes back down to that 75 cents a gallon I was paying when I learned to drive.
Yeah. I remember paying 68 cents a gallon for regular leaded gasoline.
Yeah, fuel went to $1 a gallon. Everybody was throwing a fit. Now they're happy when it's $2 a gallon. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'd have a party. As a matter of fact, one of the videos that Manhurst sent me from South Africa the other day is a video that he shot of a guy climbing out. They took the lid off of one of the gas things, and the dude crawled down inside there to put the siphon in, and he's climbing up out of I don't even know what you call them, man. The manhole where they pump the gas into. So, I mean, I tell you, man, when you look at societal breakdown like that, it is scary. I mean, there's a limit, I think, to how you can push people. And to your point about, does it lead to civil war, or are we in, and I'm going to throw this out to you, Joe, are we in a cold civil war right now? And let me explain what I mean by that. If you think about it right now, there are states that are going, yeah, we're going to legalize marijuana. I get it. The federal government says it's a Schedule I narcotic. We don't really care about that. We're going to legalize it. You have other states that saying, yeah, okay, if you do something with the Second Amendment, we don't care. We're not going to recognize it. So at what point, if states keep saying, yeah, I'm not going to recognize this law, but I'll recognize that law, I'm not going to recognize those two laws, do you have disillusionment, whether you put it on paper or not? Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And the real issue is, and it's the same issue that the founding fathers faced with the 13 colonies, is eventually there's got to come to a point where every state maybe gets on the same sheet of music. And until they get on the same sheet of music, you're not going to have any real change, because the states have more That's the way the system's set up. The states literally have, if they can get on the same sheet of music, they have more power than the federal government. It's designed that way on purpose. But if they can keep, each different state on their own track, and like we're going to worry about this state and nobody else, then the federal government has the power. Until all the states get on the same sheet of music and actually work together to make change, there will be no change.
Yeah,
that's how our government is set up.
Well said. Rex says, good morning. The left has lost its mind. We have a weak, apathetic president. Thus, America is an easy target. Stand by. And I said this the other day when I saw Putin looking at Biden. It was like, an alligator looking at a little puppy,
Yeah, a snack.
Exactly. I was like, ugh. Steven says the biggest economic issue is that the government is paying people more to stay home than they are to work. Yeah, man, that is so true. I don't care where you go, man. There are help wanted signs or restaurants that can't open because they don't have enough people. I know we see it. I've been teaching and training all over this country for the past year and a half, man. And I can tell you, it is everywhere. There is every state I've been to. I've been to at least a dozen of them in the last year and a half. Everybody's hurting for workers. And why work, Joe? If you can sit on your ass and make money, why not do that?
Well, I've run into the same issue with the construction company. Majority of the guys that I got that'll show up and help me work are other contractors. They'll come in and I'll pay them as subcontractors, and they're typically my age or older. The younger guys, they can sit on their ass and get paid an extra, $600 a week or month or whatever, and not have to do a damn thing. Which, God bless Tennessee, we don't do that anymore. But it's definitely an issue when you can get paid at home to sit at home as opposed to get up off your ass and work. Then it's human nature. It's the easiest way to make what you need to take care of your family.
You took the words right out of my mouth, and that is human nature, man. I think there's a gross misunderstanding of what human nature is. People will find what is the least amount I can do? Oh, I can sit on my rear end and you're going to send me a check. That's exactly what they'll do. That says, Alan says, if the politicians keep up those trillions of dollars of printing money, we will never get lower prices. And that's a fact, man. You cannot print money into infinity. We've talked about that. I did an entire show on economic collapse. And that to me is one of our biggest threats, man, is this money printing. Joe, I don't know if you're looking at that at all.
No, it's definitely an issue. You can only print, you can print it to infinity, but it doesn't mean it's worth anything.
Exactly.
And and that's the biggest issue that a lot of people don't understand. It's like looking at your minimum wage. Just say we do bump it up. Everything else bumps up with it. You haven't changed anything. It looks good because now people are making more on the hour, but when everything costs more, it's irrelevant.
And somebody sent me a screenshot, and I think it was like from the Wall Street Journal. It's a very reputable American newspaper, and the screenshot was the hidden benefit of inflation, higher pay. And I'm like, you don't understand economics, man. We need to take you back to class.
We'll go to Economics 101 and let's reteach you.
Yeah. John says, I remember driving around on Friday night, pooling our quarters to buy gas at 21 cents a gallon. Wow, John. Will says, desperate men are very dangerous. Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing in different parts of the world, and we may see it here again. Judo Steve says, love you, Joe. Mattis 28 Golf Company.
Yeah.
Rex Carter says, I'm sitting at work watching this. Well, we're glad to have you, Rex. TC says, it's a simple political decision. If one party pays you to watch Netflix and chill while the other party tells you to go get a job, most will vote to chill.
Well, I guess that we saw that back in November.
Yeah. And looking at the Joe Chamblin crystal ball, man, where is all this going? Where are we at a year and a half?
I ain't got a fucking clue, dude.
What? You ain't got the Joe Chamblin crystal ball?
No, if I did, I would probably be a millionaire talking to you from a beach in Tahiti instead of sitting here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I have no idea. It really depends on the people and what they want and how they're going to push forward and move forward and live their life. Do you want to continue this role of being subservient and waiting for your government to hand it out, or do you want to really, reach down, strap on your boots, put in the work, and be beholden to no man? What do you want out of life? Everybody's got their own decision to make.
Well, and I like that, man. And I know I've only got about 5 minutes left with you, but I think that right there should be the core tenet of today's discussion. That is personal responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah, it's you and your family. And like I asked you at the beginning, well, what is your mission, Joe? And you're like, hey, man, me and my family preparing for a better future for them. And I think that right now, that really probably needs to be the mantra moving forward. Will you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Elkie says, great chat, fellas. Got to head to work. Cheers. Brandon says, America is definitely at a crossroads. I agree with that. I think we're
Absolutely.
in my 52 years on this planet, man, we are at some place I never thought we would be. And I don't have a damn crystal ball either. I wish I did. But as far as what you said, Joe, personal responsibility, I'm looking at all the stores of food that we have and what little bit of ammunition I have. I'm not going to say how much I got, but here in East Tennessee, man, we're trying to be as prepared as we can.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. So, Joe, where can folks find you, man? Where can they pick up your book?
Well, I've got a website, www.intoinfamy.com, as well as a Facebook page. They can look at there, or they can, if they just want a general copy, one that's not signed, they can pull it up on Amazon and grab it there as well.
Good deal. My brother Jeff says the UK just made it illegal to boil lobster to eat it. Yeah, we're living in the sorrow world, man. Haven't been to the UK a lot. I've talked about this before, Joe, but have you been to the UK recently?
No.
There's a sign where you get off the airplane, and it's this big sign, and it has all these weapons, and it's like brass knuckles, nunchucks, knives, and
Everything's illegal.
Yeah. And it's like, if you have any of these, go to the customs office and turn it in. It's like, these are labeled offensive weapons. And as far as the British law is concerned, there is zero context in which those tools can be used defensively. They are only considered offensive. So I'm looking at that list, and I look at my wife and I go, hey, look, cool, man. My boot laces are not an offensive weapon. So when I strangle somebody with my boot laces, I guess I'm all right.
That's about all you got over there. And it's sad because I've worked with a lot of British Royal Marines, and they're really good, solid dudes, and they're having to live under this tyranny. Yeah, I guess maybe they were fighting on the wrong side a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, I tell you, they find it strange how we live over here. But our nation was founded on this. Here in East Tennessee, my ancestors crossed the Appalachian Mountains and killed Major Ferguson at the Battle of Kings Mountain and drove the Brits back to the damn sea because they said they were coming over the mountains with bringing fire and sword if the colonists didn't lay down their arms. And I hope we never come to something like that again. But the things I see makes me scratch my head.
I hope it never happens in my lifetime or my children's. We'll see how it turns out, though.
Amen to that, brother. I got a lot of stuff I want to do, and it don't involve.
I'm getting old, man. I want to retire. I want to have fun.
Yeah, it don't
have to worry about assholes.
Yeah, it don't involve squatting in the bush again. I can tell you that.
No, not at all.
Let's see. Jason Johnson says ordering a copy today. Yeah, I've got a link in the show notes where you can check out Joe's websites, his books, etc. Gerald says, thank you for your service. You're hardworking American, an example of what a man should do. Ask for nothing and work for what you have. And I agree with that. Tony says, simplify, gents. James says, shoot him in the face. I hope we don't have to do that, James, but we'll keep training just in case. And any final thoughts, brother? I kept you on here for about 48 minutes, man. I know I got a hard out time in 3 minutes. Any final thoughts?
Not really. No, I got no final thoughts. I would love to say something eloquent, but yeah, that's really not my style. So,
well, let's talk about that. I think plain speak is really what should be in style these days. There's enough of fluffy bullshit going around. I think we need people that speak the truth, even when it's unpopular. I think that's what's going to take to get us out of this.
Yeah, and people that can receive that and not, get butthurt about just the honest truth. People that can actually, and it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on, right, left, or whatever, people that actually sit down and talk and come to an understanding, a mutual agreement. That's what it really takes. People are not going to get their feelings hurt because you don't like what I say or I don't like what you say, but we can sit down and have an open communication and come to some type of understanding. We ain't got to agree, but if we can come to a mutual understanding and mutual respect, and that makes a big difference. And that bridges that gap and allows us to move forward.
Yeah.
And until we do that, we're going to have that divisiveness that we talked about earlier, and it's not going to change.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. And I tell you, I know it's cliched at this point, but really facts don't care about your feelings, man.
No, nobody gives a shit.
The facts are absolutely immutable, and they don't care. And if they're hurting your feelings, then you need to reflect on yourself, not the facts.
Yeah, that's a personal issue. You can't change the facts.
Yeah. Alan says, great show. Straightforward talk is good. Joe, thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Don't say anytime, because I'll drag you back on here, man.
I'll come back.
Okay. All right, guys. Remember, be safe out there. And remember, the fight is coming. Be ready.
Absolutely.